And we're on here.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the legislative meeting of the Wilkinsburg School Board for the month of May 2022. Somebody's not muted. So we can get started if the secretary will please call the roll.
Mr. Donovan.
Here.
Mr. Steadley. Mr. Steadley. Ms. Garcia.
Yeah, I'm here, Rick.
Okay.
Sorry, couldn't get off mute there.
No problem. Ms. Garcia.
Here.
Mr. Strauss.
Here.
Ms. Bouffray.
Here.
Ms. Thorpe.
Present.
Mr. Bossick.
Here.
Mr. Rose. He just joined the meeting. And Ms. Comans.
And I just joined too.
Okay. 8 present.
Who was absent? Ashley.
Ashley.
I should probably try to join us, but okay. All right, thank you. Before we get started, there was horrific news today, and so if you would, in your way, just take a moment of silence and think about the kids and most of all their families in Uvalde, Texas. 14 little ones. That's 14 way too many, and one valuable teacher. Thank you. And based on that the incident today was enough to push me over the edge in terms of refurbishing Kelly Primary School. And so even though last night we talked about possibly putting off installing that secure entrance at Kelly, I won't be able to support postponing that when we get that far down the plans. We just can't take any chances. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen.
Ed, you have a question from Eric.
Oh,
wow. I can't. Oh, wait. I'm sorry. I'm not. Could you, Eric? Could you ask your question? I'm sorry. I'm not in the Google Meet right now. I forgot that part.
Yeah, I would actually. I was about to reinforce your point about security and the need to make sure that we've got the right security procedures in place. Really, all I wanted to understand was whether we have security guards at both locations of the school at this time.
we do. And I think, don't we have a third one that floats? Is that correct?
Third one, yeah, no, the third one hasn't been hired yet.
Okay.
We don't have one for after school program right now.
Okay.
Obviously, whatever priority can be placed on hiring that security guard would be appropriate, I think. Thank you.
I know the one at Kelly is the former cop. He's a no-nonsense guy.
And the one at Turner is really, really capable. He's a former constable. And he knows what to do, and he's excellent with kids. Yeah, we're good with the person power. I think the security employees, but it's the idea of having the technology to have somebody in that glassed-in area, and they don't get any farther than the foyer until their license has been checked. You know what I mean? And I'm not sure we're even doing that at Turner. I think we need to revisit that.
We have the equipment. The equipment hasn't been set up yet, so we have to get that set up.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, we can talk about that, but to have some haste around getting that done. But thanks, Mr. Steadley, for that reinforcement. We got to, if we can't keep them safe, what are we doing? So please let the record show that the board met in executive session twice since our last meeting. They were consecutive April 25th and 26th to discuss personnel matters. And if anyone in the audience would like to make a comment, simply use the raise your hand feature. And I would ask maybe Ms. Garcia if you can keep an eye out for those, because I'm not logged into Google Meet yet. You're not either. Okay. Okay, thank you. I'll get logged in as soon as we can. All right, so we can get moving here.
Like the
The
Hey.
last, yes, Michael.
Oh, sorry. I just started. I just remembered something. Just because of what happened at that store where the guy showed up and he shot that guy. There was a security guard. Remember, he shot the guy. He had body armor on, and then he was able to kill the one security guard. I was thinking, do you think that maybe the only precaution I could think of is maybe to give the like a bulletproof vest for the security?
I think we ought to have we probably ought to have a small group talk about it, you know what I mean? Get together and talk about security.
If I may, security measures are something you can discuss in executive session.
Okay, so
It's probably wise to do so.
Thank you. So the advice from Matt is to discuss this further in executive session, Michael, but thank you for bringing that up, and I think we should make that particular executive session a priority. Just talking about this isn't get us anywhere, so thanks both of you for the support. Let me see. I'm sorry, I'm jumping around here. So, all right, moving along. Mr. Hoffman, anything to add to your report?
No, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Dr. Malushnik, the reports last week were from Principal Mathelen, Summer Pendro, Rachel about the virtual program, and Kelly Hanna. Is there anything that you would want to add to any of those reports or to yours?
No, I have nothing to add to those reports. The only thing I want to say is I did get to visit our students yesterday at Flight 93. Our fourth grade students went yesterday, and then today our fifth grade students went to Flight 93. We got some good feedback from the staff and from the other school. The grade levels have been doing a collaborative with Shade Central City School District near Flight 93. So they spent the day in the morning going up, learning about what happened and seeing everything that they've done there. But then in the afternoon, they actually had a barbecue and sat outside and hung out with the students at Shade Central City School District, which was nice. Two somewhat similar communities, but students who never get to see each other. So it was a good experience, I think, for everyone the last 2 days. So
Great, thank you.
Dr. Joe, you have Student of the Month on.
yes, and Carrie, you have student of the month?
Yes, I sure do. Okay, I will start. I see Devontae is on the call. Devontae Rapp is a first grade student at Kelly. Devontae, are you there? Okay, he is there.
Devontae, pull your camera down. Or sit up.
Okay,
There we
I'll
go.
read why he's getting himself adjusted. So Devontae is a first grade student in Mrs. Mayhew's class. Not only does Devontae have excellent attendance, he is well-mannered and respectful to adults and his peers. He has excelled to a level L in reading, and a level L is equivalent to a second grade level. And mind you, Devontae is in first grade. He has excellent he solves communication problems and triple-digit addition and subtraction problems in his math class, and that happens to be his favorite subject. He also likes gym and STEAM. So some fun facts about Devontae. His favorite foods are fried chicken with the skin on it and macaroni and cheese. His sister, Shayana, attends Turner, and she's in the 6th grade. He also enjoys going to Sandcastle, and he loves the game called Roadblocks. And he loves playing football with his dad. Devontae would like to become a police officer when he gets older because he loves helping people. On a final note, Devontae's reading class participates in a learning app called Reading A to Z, where students have the opportunity to earn stars for points that they can cash in for prizes or other options. Devontae has reached over 8,000 points twice, and he cashed them in to purchase a donated meal for an underprivileged family. We are happy that Devontae has been such a positive part of the Kelly Primary family, and we wish him nothing but the best as he transitions into the second grade at Turner Intermediate. So that is Devontae Rapp from Kelly Primary, Mrs. Mayhew's class. Congratulations, Devontae.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And Mrs. Mayhew, I see you're on the call. Do you have anything you want to add?
Yeah, I can just say he's just remarkable. He has grown, in all areas of development, including social. That was a big thing him and his mom and I talked about a lot, just where he was coming from, being off the computer and things. Just socially, academically, and like he said, his favorite subject is math. And I mean, he's doing multiplication in my class with me, actually. And I know that Mr. Bush in STEAM, he talks very highly of him. He was doing some computer programming in his classroom. I mean, he's just remarkable. And like you said, very well mannered. His family's very involved. Anytime I need anything and reach out, his mom's always there. So I appreciate the family support also.
That's great. Thank you. So, Devontae, are you going to miss Kelly Primary when you go over to Turner next year?
Yes.
Well, what will you miss about Kelly? Anything in particular? I'd just like to know how.
Are you going to Mr. T? Mr. Kids?
All right, congratulations,
Congratulations,
Devontae.
Devontae.
No.
So,
Thank you.
you're welcome, buddy. You're very welcome.
The
So,
teachers?
Ms. Keller,
Still saying transit.
What was that, Devontae?
The teachers?
Mr. T? Yes, we've got some pretty good teachers over at Kelly. I have to say that. But there's some great teachers at Turner waiting to get you, so you're going to have fun over there also. Congratulations. You just keep up the good work.
Thank you.
You're welcome, buddy. Let's see. Principal McClellan, do we have another?
Yes, we have Camila Edwards. She's a 6th grade student at Turner. And Miss Boyer and Miss Harding had nominated her. Camila has been a joy to have in class, and she is just fun to be around in general. Her personality shines so bright. She is willing to try new things. She works hard and does everything without complaining. She is always willing to help her classmates and her teachers. I trust her to do a task correctly after only seeing it one time. She is a huge help in the library. I will definitely miss her next year, but she is on to bigger and better things. And that is from Miss Boyer and Mrs. Harding. And that is all I have today.
And she couldn't make it tonight.
No, she could not. No.
Okay. I was just going to ask her where she's going to 7th grade, but maybe I can ask her another time.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Ms. McClellan, very much.
You're welcome.
All right, we can go back to the agenda now. So let's see. We can handle. There's no facilities report. No other reports in your section, Dr. Joe.
No.
All right, Mr. Strauss. Yeah, finance report.
No, nothing to add. Thank you.
Okay. Let's see. So we have the minutes from last month. Board action is requested to approve the minutes from April 26th, 2022 legislative meeting. You need a motion and a second.
So moved, Vanessa.
And a second from Ms. Garcia. So I just wanted to ask Mr. Steady, did we get the changes that you were really, the numbers were really interested in?
Not for this month. We didn't do that yet, Ed.
Okay.
We'll start next month with the meetings.
Okay. All right. Thanks, everyone. Let's see,
Ed, the motion did not pass. Ed, the motion did not pass yet.
okay.
Rick, can you vote yes for me? Because I have to log back in.
Hey Rick, it's Ashley. I'm on the call. I
Okay.
just wanted to, I don't have board docs up though, but you can put me as a yes.
Okay. I have, once we vote on this, I have to go back and add you as the attendant.
Okay.
So I'm still waiting for Dennis and Eric to vote.
Rick, I didn't get a voting window, but you can vote yes for me, please.
And who else, Eric?
We're good now. Motion passed.
All right, that motion passes. The minutes are approved. Let's see, section 5, Dr. Malushnik, added since the planning meeting, the summer committee.
Yeah, due to the timing, board action is requested to approve the summer committee work not to exceed 550 hours for 1 to 2 teachers plus a reading and math coach. And that'll be 1 to 2 teachers per grade level. Teachers will be paid $25 per hour per the collective bargaining agreement. Grade levels will have 60 hours each, total not to exceed $13,500 to be paid for out of ESSER funds. This time will be used for, we have new science curriculum that the state approved, so we have to be working on that. Our standards-based report card will need to be revised and updated as well. We'll have some ILT work and it's some data discussions at the same time. And I'm sure Summer has probably a list of some other things that has to be done through the summer. But a lot of this is also addressing learning loss as well, because some of the programs and things we'll be putting in for next school year will be addressing that.
All right, so I'm just not familiar with the term summer committee work. Is that what we used to call curriculum writing over the summer?
Yes, it's a curriculum writing thing. Yeah, so part of that will be curriculum writing as well.
Okay. Yep. I just wanted to know that. So moved.
Second.
Any questions? Sorry, I asked my question out of turn.
Is it a typo 1 to 2 teachers per grade?
It looks like a typo. In the first line.
Yeah, that should just be per grade.
Do we know what the current enrollment is for the summer session?
Summer, do we have those numbers?
I can get that for you. Give me 1 minute.
And what my real question is, I assume that this is going to be efficiently used money, that we are going to have some students to teach.
Yes.
I'm very hopeful that that's the answer. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we put it out there where we open it up to pretty much everyone right now because we want numbers. That's the key, is having those numbers. If we don't have numbers, we won't need the personnel.
Yes, for me, Rick. It's Ashley.
Okay, got it. Just waiting for Dennis still.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just not getting a window today. Yeah, vote yes, please.
Motion passed.
We did mark Dr. Bostic as present, didn't we? I just wonder why he's not getting the window.
He's coming up on my screen as present, and I'm voting for him. So.
Okay. Oh, all right. Okay. While we're waiting for Ms. Pendro to come up with that answer, we can move into section 6. As soon as you get that info, Summer, just let us know, and we can plug you back in. So we have a new hire, Dr. Malushnik.
We are currently at 56 students enrolled for summer school.
A little over.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Summer, just without going into a lot of detail, what grades were eligible?
We are offering it pre-K through 6. Last year we did not include pre-K, but we are this year. Our goal is to have 20 students per grade. I think 5th grade right now is up to about 15 students. So 20 students, 2 teachers per grade level, so we can keep the class sizes at 10 per teacher.
Do you know what our numbers were last summer offhand?
Yes, I believe we have about, right now our numbers are about what we had last year. So because we only had a few grades last year where we had 2 teachers, so we are enrolling more students than we did last year. And we did open it up to more students and sent out more invitations.
So it'd be interesting to find out, even casually, why some parents don't send their kids, even though the invitation went out, you know what I mean? So maybe we can do I know that we survey our families we over survey our families maybe, but it'd be great if we could find a way to get at that, the answer to the question, why don't they send, what would make you send your kid? What would make you want to send your kid to summer school? What features?
We are tracking those that are saying no. So that's something that we could definitely look into. I know a few of them have enrolled in another program. Those were a couple of the reasons, but the other ones we can definitely reach out and see why.
Yeah, that'd just be helpful for future planning, I think.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's see, we have this, let's go back to item 6A. Okay, 6A.
All right, board actions requested to approve Lindsay Berlin as a summer school teacher at a rate of $35 per hour to be paid for from the ESSER funds.
And Lindsay is on the call.
Hi, Lindsay.
She was.
Hi, how are you?
Great, how are you?
Good.
So you're going to teach for us this summer?
I need a motion.
Yes.
I need a motion first.
Oh, okay, that's right, yeah.
Motion.
So,
I'll make
Second.
the motion.
okay, second?
I'll second. Dennis.
Okay, so you're going to come and teach for us this summer.
Yes, I'm very excited.
Do you teach full-time now?
I do. I teach 4th grade at Hillcrest Christian Academy in Bethel Park.
Oh, cool, yeah. My first teaching job was right next door in Castle Shannon.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, a lot of my kids, when they left 8th grade, they went to BP for high school, but okay, we'll talk about that another time, but.
Yeah.
Let me vote yes to get you on board here. All right. Thanks, Lindsay. Thanks for helping us out.
Oh, absolutely. It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
I'm going to ask a quick question on math here. And I really appreciate that Ms. Burton is going to be able to teach for us. However, we just approved a rate at which we are not planning to pay Ms. Burton. This rate is $35 per hour. We just approved a motion for $25 per hour. How is that going to be reconciled?
Yeah, they're two.
It's 2 separate things. Yeah, Dr. Joe.
Yeah, they are 2 separate things. Or 2. One is we already have a MOU and we've already done the summer school $35 an hour, and the $25 an hour for the summer curriculum work and all that has always been set in $25 an hour. And they'll be planning, there's for the summer school, those teachers will be planning and grading and doing things like that.
So the teachers coming in to write curriculum and do that sort of planning stuff will be paid the $25 that's in the contract. But the teachers coming in to teach summer school will get paid the $35, the extra stipend that we got approved last year.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
Yes,
Okay,
for me, Rick.
so,
It's a good one.
Gotcha. Just waiting for Eric.
I'm just trying to process what was said there.
Did I miss anything on that summer?
No, I think the difference is, Eric, is the team of teachers coming in for the summer committee. They're doing summer work for the upcoming school year. So we're looking at the report card. We're looking at our standards, our practices, pacing guides, those kinds of things. So it's different than summer school and the hiring of teachers to deliver the instruction over the summer.
Did that motion pass, Greg?
It did, but I'm still waiting for Eric's vote.
Okay.
Motion passed.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, item B, Dr. Joe.
And board action requested to hire Roxanne Simbarlis as a summer school teacher at a rate of $35 an hour to be paid for from the ESSER funds.
So moved, Ed.
And Roxanne is also on the call.
We need a
Hi there.
second. Second, Monica. So, let's see, where's Roxanne?
Hi,
Hi, how are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
Doing great, thank you. So we don't have like a resume or anything for you attached to the resolution. So tell us, what are you doing now? Are you teaching now?
Well, actually, I am a retired school teacher, believe it or not. I taught for 29 years. I am a VPA, former teacher, kindergarten, second grade, and I have a degree in special education and also in early childhood education.
Nice.
So yeah, so I'm super excited about the experience.
That's great. We're happy to have you. Thank you for helping us out.
Well, no, I want to thank you guys for the opportunity. I did retire early, not because I wanted to. There were some family dynamics with my mom. And I have to say, these kind of opportunities they get me real excited to, because I really like working with the students and making learning come alive for them. So I'm looking really, forward to it.
Okay. I'm just curious, how did you find out about this?
Indeed. And I have to say this summer, did I not follow you and stalk you? I did. I was super excited. I saw it on Indeed, and then I messaged her again because I do work for another company as an independent contractor during the school year. But when I saw this, and I also work for Common Threads for the Pittsburgh public school system in the summers too, providing nutrition education. So I love new opportunities.
That's awesome. Thank you. So I hope it's okay if we pop in and visit you this summer when you're.
I would love it. I would love it.
All right, you can count on it. Thank you very much. Thanks a
so
lot.
much.
Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for joining us. And I believe did that motion pass, Rick?
It passed, but I'm waiting for Juanita and Ashley. So Ashley.
Yes. Yep.
Gotcha. Okay, motion just passed that. Everybody voted.
All right, you're officially hired, Roxanne.
Well,
Thanks for
super excited.
being here.
All right, thank you.
Let's see. So we have item C, an unpaid leave.
Yeah, board action requested to approve an unpaid leave for Letta Cameron, social worker, effective May 2nd through May 6th, 2022.
So moved, Ed.
Second, Eric.
Any discussion?
So Ms. Cameron will replace our current special education social worker. Is that correct, or is this a second hire?
No. Ms. Cameron has been our social worker for a couple of years now.
I'm sorry.
Yes, for me, Rick.
So this is a total of 5 days. Is that right? 5 days of absence.
Yes, Eric. Motion passed it.
Thank you very much. That motion passed. Let's see. We have another unpaid leave. Dr. Malusha.
Board action request unpaid leave for Elizabeth Freiberger, behavior specialist, on the following days: May 6th through the 18th, May 20th, May 24th through 27th, June 1st through the 3rd, and June 7th through the 9th.
So moved, Ed.
Second, Eric.
Any discussion? Okay, let's vote.
What is the total number of days here?
Yes, for me, Rick. It's Ash.
Oh, you say
14, I count.
14 days.
Let me know, Rick.
Motion passed.
Thank you. unpaid leave is approved. Item E, a new hire, Dr. Malishnik.
Board action is requested to approve Lauren Javens as a fourth grade teacher at Turner Primary at step 7, a master's salary at $50,165, and all other terms and conditions of the CBA effective May 27th, 2022. Just to give you a heads up, Ms. Javens has been with us all year long as a long-term sub. Comment from one of her peers who's been a long-time teacher here. She's been an amazing teammate this year. Wonderful addition to our grade level, but to our school and district. She's always had the students in the forefront of her mind, and she's always tried to advocate for them. Plus literacy and using books, any chance she can get to teach students. Works a ton of hours after school, ton of valuable information for our team. And she also tries getting people from the community involved with our school and students. And I know that because she's had some community members come in there. And she has been a tremendous asset. She has gone above and beyond and jumping on projects. One for, particular, that's the Chalfont Run, getting our students out there. When it was mentioned, she was the first person to jump on it, and I appreciate that. And each day I always do get something new from her to share with the staff. So we've appreciated having her on staff this year. She's definitely earned this position. And this is replacing a position that we just lost earlier in the year. Or about a month ago.
Can we get a motion and a second, please?
So moved. Eric?
Second. Okay. Any other discussion?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with step 7 of master's salary.
So we have bachelors if they only have a bachelor's degree, and then if they have a master's degree, there's a schedule for them. So she has 7 years of experience. It's a good question. She has 7 years of experience, and she has her master's degree, so she fell under that.
Okay.
It's the salary step.
Salary step.
And there's it's Turner Intermediate, not Turner Primary in the resolution. We could get that.
Yeah.
Get that fixed.
Yes, for Ashley.
Thank you, Ashley.
You're welcome.
Just waiting on Vanessa.
Lord is.
So we're going to seek to replace Lauren with another long-term sub, right?
She has been the long-term sub for fourth grade, so she's going to be taking over that fourth grade.
I know, but will we seek to replace to get another long-term sub for next year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Position, yep.
Yeah, because this seems to be a great way to prepare people, to keep people in the pipeline, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
For when
We
opening.
have a spot that
Exactly.
No, we've been having them anyway, because we always need a sub somewhere, so
We've
what,
been keeping one long-term sub at each building.
yeah. And that way, when there's a vacancy, we have somebody that we know, you know what I mean, who we can consider for that position. It's working out for us. We've got a couple of them so far, so that plan's working out for us.
We've had a few this year go from long-term subs to actual positions. So it is the best way for us to go through interviews, but for sure. And Lauren is on.
Oh, hey, Lauren.
Hi, everyone. Thank you.
There you are. There you are. Hey, congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thanks. I really appreciate it. I feel really lucky to have landed at Turner, and I'm enjoying my time there, and I want to be there for a long time.
We hope you will be.
Great
I
school.
recognize you now from the hallways over there. Yeah. It's good to have you on board. And thanks for, you had to put up with being at that sub for a while. You know what I mean? I mean, you paid some dues there, but look what you got. I don't mean put up with, I'm sorry, but you know what I mean? So we're glad that this all worked out.
Yes, me too. Thanks. It was worth it.
I'm glad. All right. Let's see. Where are we? We have an FMLA.
Board action is requested to approve an intermittent FMLA for Darren Kennedy, Special Education Director, effective April 27, 2022 through June 30th, 2022.
So moved, Ed.
Second, Eric.
Any discussion on this one? Probably not, because it's a personnel matter. Okay.
It's Ashley. Yes, for me.
Okay. Just waiting on Monica. Motion passed.
Right, okay, that FMLA is approved, and now we have a retirement. We're losing Russell Bush, geez. Doctor, okay.
Yes. Board action is requested to approve the retirement of Russell Bush, STEAM teacher at Kelly Primary School, effective June 10, 2022. And Carrie, how long has he been there?
He's been with the district about 19 years. This is a second career for him.
Let's get a motion in a second. So moved, Ed.
Second.
Second, Dennis. So, yeah, so he's been involved in some pretty interesting things over the years. So it's like, yeah, we're sorry to see him go. You're not here, are you, Mr. Bush? I didn't think he'd show up for us to vote on that, but.
May I ask, is there any way to convince Mr. Bush to continue for another year?
Summer and Carrie's probably talked to him a little bit more than I have. I know I've talked to him a few times about it. He seems pretty, actually, I don't think there is, because he did tell me he's already got a job lined up working at Yellowstone, I believe. I think he was part-time at Yellowstone Park.
So he does plan to work. That's interesting. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
This is Vanessa speaking. Do we have plans for replacement of a STEAM teacher?
Yes. Yeah, for the STEAM teacher, we do have plans. We'll have to advertise in-house first for that position. And if we don't get anybody in-house, then we can advertise outside the building.
Thank you.
All right, non-instructional staff. We have an FMLA, Mr. Liberto.
Board action is requested to approve the intermittent FMLA for Lori Seaman, Accounts Payable Secretary, effective May 23rd, 2022 through May 31st, 2023.
I still moved, Ed.
Second, Michael.
Okay, discussion. That's not a typo, is it? That this is for over a year for Lori?
Yes, for intermittent.
Okay, wow.
I mean, Rick, shouldn't that be May 23rd of 2023 instead of the 31st? The 1 year period.
I can change that. I can change that, Matt. That's what her doctor's note had on it. So
regardless.
So we're approving intermittent FMLA for over a year.
Well,
Is that
actually,
right?
Well, regardless of the time, it's only a 60-day allotment.
Sure, but I mean, those 60 days could all be taken at once, and then we'd be without a teacher for, 60 divided by 5, 12 weeks.
Yeah, that's the law.
She's
secretary.
Yeah, she's accounts payable, not teaching, but still, yes, the answer is yes.
I mean, I don't know what we do if all of us vote against an FMLA. I don't know what happens. I don't know if we get sued or what, Matt. What happens?
Yeah, it's the law.
Yeah,
It's a
Rick,
federal-
Ashley, it's a yes for me.
It's a federal right, Eric, statute.
So I don't understand why we're voting for it if it's a federal right. Why are we voting for it?
Well, it's been your
I mean, we
practice.
can't not, right?
If the employee meets whatever criteria, and there's various causes for which you can take FMLA, but if the employee meets the criteria, they have the right. to leave.
And somehow I'm allowed to vote against a right. I don't get it. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. But here we are.
Yeah, it's been practice to have it on the board agenda. So I mean, you're right. I don't know if there's a necessity for board action, but that's been your practice.
I think it's a way of us to know what's going on, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and then I guess in the event that we voted no, that's grounds for the person requesting it to sue.
Yeah, if the motion didn't pass, Ashley, yeah, I guess that could happen, right?
It's a
Right.
paper trail. Correct. Got it. Thanks.
All right.
Wait, I didn't hear that it passed. I'm sorry.
Yes, it
It did?
passed.
Okay.
It passed
Thanks.
8-1.
Okay, let's see. So item B here, a new hire.
Yeah, board actions requested to hire Jordana Stevens as a special education paraprofessional at Kelly Primary at a rate of $18.04 per hour, and all her terms and conditions per the CBA, effective August 1st, 2022, to be paid for from the general fund. We really wanted to jump on some of these positions early before somebody else tries to snag them up, so they know that they have something to come back forward to.
So moved, Ed.
Second, Dennis.
Any discussion?
With these paraprofessionals, do they just not get any pay over the summer? How does that work?
This person actually is working for Kelly Services right now as a substitute teacher, but prefers to work with our autistic life skills room as a paraprofessional.
So this person has a teacher cert?
Yeah.
Oh.
I believe so. Or
Yes,
maybe,
for Ashley, Rick.
or has the credits for the classroom mentor.
My question, they work, what's the construction? Don't work this.
Yeah.
Motion passed.
All right. Let's see.
Ms. Stevens is on the call also.
Is she on the call?
Oh.
Good evening. I just wanted to say thank you for the opportunity to be a formal part of the Kelly and Wilkinsburg family, and I'm looking forward to working with the students in autistic support. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And we appreciate your work this year coming in as a sub here and there. I know you bounced around a lot in different places down there, so thank you for that.
No problem. I enjoyed every moment of it. Thank you.
So Jordana, you deliberately sought to be to work with the autistic kids.
Yeah, I did. I never thought that I would, but I enjoy working with them. It's you got to have a different mindset. You got to put a different hat on. One of the students today said 4 words, and I was on cloud 9. It's not that I don't like all of the students. I like them all. I find them all engaging, but for some reason, the autistic support room keeps pulling me in. So I thought I'd stay there for a while.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really great. Thank you for that.
No problem.
It's triple important to have you here, so thanks.
No problem. Thank you. Glad to be here.
Did that pass, Rick?
Yes.
All right. Let's see, we have committee reports here. The Joint Tax Committee met, I'm sorry, I don't have the date. Matt was there just to review changes to policy and procedure that have been made since the executive session was conducted last summer. That's that. But there was not a meeting this month to discuss proposals or applications. I don't think Mr. Rose hasn't had a chance to attend Forbes Road yet.
He does want to discuss something, Ed.
Oh, okay. Michael.
Sorry, I'm just trying to hit that mute button. It's just tricky. Yeah, so we spoke, Matt and I spoke earlier about our chances or our prospects of getting out of the whole Forbes Road agreement. And he basically, Matt said that our chances were slim to none. Plus, I think the biggest risk that we run is that let's say that somehow the merger fails, and we right now we have an agreement with Pittsburgh Public for them to be the vocational school for our kids. However, if somehow that doesn't work and we're no longer a part of Forbes Road. Now we have no place to send our kids. It kind of leaves us in a vulnerable situation. Matt, did you want to add to that?
Sure, Michael, I can. Basically, the question that Michael posed to me was, what options does the district have if it chose to exit the Forbes Road jointure? That jointure, however, is an agreement among 9 school districts, and can't unilaterally exit that agreement without the consent of the other parties to the agreement. So we can't simply just exit. That's the gist of the conversation that Michael and I had. Even though we don't send kids to, I don't believe we're sending any kids presently to Forbes.
Not presently, maybe next year.
If Forbes has a program that Pittsburgh does not, that would, be an option for your student, right? The other aspect of the jointure agreement that we talked about today is that, when you send students there, you pay a tuition rate. And then a separate financial obligation is to pay an administrative cost, which has to do with capital outlays. And Rick, if I recall correctly, I don't know whether you verified the number. I mean, it's a couple $1,000 you pay for that.
That's $4,800
in relation to the jointure.
Oh, that's all our membership fee is? Oh, okay.
Most of it is when you send kids there, you pay.
Yeah, we pay tuition, right. Yeah, I thought it was a larger number. That's great.
I just have one thing to say. So this last year, they did add a veterinary assistant program, which I've mentioned. And it is full. They're adding another, as of last year, they were going to add another teacher very shortly. So that's something I don't believe that Pittsburgh has. I think that could be incorrect, but I think that Pittsburgh doesn't offer that. So.
Right. And one aspect of when we originally asked Forbes to release us from the requirement to send our CTE kids there because of the partnership with Pittsburgh, one aspect of them saying yes was that if a student, if a Wilkinsburg resident student wants a program that Pittsburgh doesn't offer, we have to okay them attending Forbes, and we were glad to say yes to that.
Ironically,
I think we had one.
Ironically, I just had my first request since I've been
Really?
on that. Yeah.
What do you know what program they wanted to go into?
It was for the logistic and warehouse management. That was they had 3 choices, and none of them were Pittsburgh Public, but Pittsburgh Public didn't offer it for you.
Right. Yeah, I know they don't have that one. Yeah, so that's good. Hey, I certainly don't mind paying for that. You know what I mean? Helping a Wilkinsburg student prepare for a career. So.
It's Ashley. I have a question. Just on that same topic you guys were just talking about with our students wanting to attend a program at Forbes that PPS doesn't offer. Do we send any kind of communication to families to let them know what's offered at Forbes, or is it one of those things where the kids are just kind of like inquiring because they just happen to know? Like, what does that look like? Because I just think about families who may not be aware, that what Michael just mentioned with the veterinary, I can't get my words out. Sorry, y'all. With that program, that's, I think that's interesting. So I'm just curious if we're intentional on sharing that with our high school kids.
Great question, Ashley. No, we haven't been intentional in doing so, but we can if the board feels, we can do that. There are going to be costs involved, of course, but we have not been intentional to do so, and we could make that change, though.
Maybe somehow that information could be part of the transition. You know what I mean? All the information we share when at the 6th grade transition. That's one way to go about it. But that's a really good point, Ashley. It's an opportunity that we should make our kids aware of.
And these programs usually start in 9th grade. I believe Forbes Road, that's probably the same as 9th grade too.
Yeah, right. Thanks for raising that, Ashley.
I think the veterinary.
And Michael has his hand up.
Oh, I was going to say another good thing is I talked, Rick, you were saying earlier that like the tuition, not just tuition, I mean the annual membership fee or whatever for the year was only like 16,000.
It's actually 4,800, Michael.
Oh wait, I thought. Well, how much is it for us to send a kid there?
Well, roughly, I think tuition is like $7,500 per kid.
7,500. Okay.
Something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely am pro advertising as much as possible, whatever it costs. Veterinarian pays really good money.
Right.
Right.
Okay, Pittsburgh sounds like you're right.
And I don't think Pittsburgh has that program, so, yeah, we need to make our kids aware of that.
Because I do believe, with the veterinary assistant program, you can start that until 10th grade. And so, the student would need to attend Westinghouse for 9th grade, and then I believe, and then 10th over there. It could have changed because that is a new program, but I was looking into it for my niece, previously, and brought the same thing up with have known had and not. I think I do it, and like, I thought our families don't know. So yeah, we are paying, we're sending board members to be a part of the meetings, we're paying a tuition, the 40 to be a part of it. We should advertise it to our students because it is definitely, something that I was excited about, like, oh, this is another, something else to consider that I only knew because I was on the board. And so I do believe that we should market it if we're involved in it. Otherwise, it's just a waste of our time.
Right. Yeah.
And money, because we're not really, extending that opportunity to our students. So.
Yeah, well, we can't get out of it anyway, but we ought to make the most of it. But I'm curious, that makes me curious. So a student in a charter school, let's take a student in a charter school who is in 9th grade and they find out about the veterinary program at Forbes Road. A charter school student could leave the charter school and through us enroll at Forbes Road for their 10th grade, right? Yeah. That's good to know also. It's an opportunity. I mean, that it's open to all resident students in Wilkinsburg, you know what I mean? No matter where they're going to school right now. So, okay. That's worth knowing. Thanks. And if there's nothing else on that eastern area, schools, is there a report on eastern area? I think we got an update last week.
Yeah, we did get an update last week.
Okay, well, we can come back to it if there's any news there. Section 9, the treasurer's report, Dr. Bostic.
Board action is requested to ratify and confirm the May 2022 general fund payments, the amount of $1,293,590.39, and wire transfers in the amount of $464,004.51. The following reports as of April 30th, 2022 will be made a matter of minutes. Statement of revenue and expenditures, balance, bank account summary, cash.
We need a motion.
So moved.
Second, Vanessa.
Any discussion or questions? Okay.
Yes, for Ashley.
Just waiting for Eric. I don't know. Did he leave the meeting?
I that little sound about somebody coming or going. That little thing. Anybody notice?
I think
I think you're right.
I can just mark him not present.
Yeah, do that thing, or we can move on.
It looks like his mic isn't available. He's on the call though, but I don't know. It shows his mic is out.
Right. Motion passed, Ed.
All right, thank you. Let's see, section 10, conferences and field trips. Mr. Liberto.
Board action is requested to approve all staff professional development and field trip activities listed on the travel investment activities report for May of 2022 at a cost not to exceed $877 per attached.
So moved, Ed.
Second, Dennis.
Any questions? All right. And the, oh, that's right.
Yes, for me.
Gotcha. Motion passed.
Okay. Oops, I got lost. lost there. And the ESL district liaison, Dr. Lewis.
The board action request to approve the MOU for the ESL district liaison through the AIU Title III Consortium per attached. It's just a procedure that we do each year. I did meet with the ESL coordinator last week with the AIU just to clarify that, we're maximizing, their services and what we're paying for. And I felt pretty comfortable out there meeting with her. Last week, I did tell you guys, they are providing, our personnel for here, but they are also, they handle all the state documents, they handle all the training, they provide training. She actually gave us money back last week that I went down that we could use for our own professional development, and they handle all the supplies, materials, technology, resources. So it's more than I knew of at that point. So it was a good meeting with her last week.
Okay. No other questions?
So this is the person, these are the people that come in and teach ESL to our kids. They're actually working for the AIU.
For the AIU.
And do they have teacher certifications, or what
Yes.
is the qualification?
Teacher certifications, and sometimes they might have, I haven't seen their certification, sometimes they might have that ESL certificate too.
Yeah, the state requirements technically are to be certified in your grade level and have the ESL certification, which is, I think, 24 additional credits after your bachelor's degree. I mean, it's significant. Yeah.
So they continue to give them updated training regularly that they're supposed to have. It's the state documents too. She emphasized that because I was debating, is it worth keeping or, bringing it back on our own for us? But some of those things that she told us, and for the numbers. Also, we'll get an update this week on the 27th, depending on the numbers we have next year, would affect how much we pay next year, which would probably be a decrease.
Dr. Joe, just a question for you. Do you know about how many kids participate in that?
Yes, I have it right here. 1, 2, 4, 6.
Mm-hmm.
6 kids right now.
Interesting.
Okay, we're set to go. We vote on that?
I still need a motion.
Oh, yeah, sorry. So moved, Ed.
Second.
Yes, for Ashley.
I don't have a window. Did you get one on?
It just popped up, so maybe
Oh, there we are.
Motion passed.
All right. A couple items under finance.
Board action is requested to approve the 2022-2023 operating and administrative budgets for the Forbes Road Career and Technology Center in the amounts of operating budget of $7,151,641 and the administrative budget of $122,620, which is a 15% increase. Wilkinsburg School District share of the administrative budget is $4,874.12.
So moved, Ed.
Second, Dennis.
Any discussion on this? Every participating school district will have a resolution like this on their agenda. We all have to approve the operating budget for Forbes Road. I don't know what would happen if we didn't.
There was no increase last year at all, so.
But this is a big one. Yeah. Thanks, Dennis.
Has anybody read this resolution? I mean, or the budget? Has anybody looked at the budget? I mean, what that $7 million, is it being correctly spent?
Our amount last year, Rick, was our amount 4874. Was that changed last year? Is that pretty much the same?
It's probably a little bit higher because their administrative budget went up, so we pay a portion of that.
So, I mean, my understanding is we don't have any students here, right?
Not that currently we do not have any students.
And is the $4,800, $5,000 basically, that's the only amount that we contribute to the school. Is that correct?
Correct.
There's no other way to get out of it. So
Is this what we just talked about with Mr. Rose about the meetings? And Michael, did they mention anything at your meetings in regard to like
Oh, Ashley. Yeah, I
yeah.
just got appointed today. Like I haven't been
Oh,
able to do
okay.
anything yet.
No, and I was just asking just because I hear Eric's questions and I'm just curious, just from previous years of, going through this and voting on it in a sense of what they're doing with the funds and advising whether this is too much or not enough, how they handle that. And maybe since this is new for you, that's something that maybe you can bring back for us to, look over and review.
Absolutely.
How their budgets and stuff work. But I mean, I've been familiar with Forbes Road since I was in high school. So,
Yeah, I can meet with Eric or Rick, Michael at any time if he wants to go through it. I do meet every other week with Forbes Road with the superintendents involved in it. So if Michael wants to touch base, we can go through it together.
And would you have any concerns, Dr. Joe, in regards to how they advise their operating budgets? Like, is there any history of Forbes Road not operating, in good faith and good service? Like, to me, it seems like Forbes is pretty,
That's a good point. I mean, I've only been in the district, 3 years, but before that, I wasn't far from there in Greensburg. I haven't heard anything. I haven't read anything offhand. I haven't seen anything. I haven't heard any of the current superintendents have any issues or complaints. That's about all I could give right now, Ashley.
Nope, I just wanted just for the record. So it's, people who are listening can, have those kind of understandings in regards to the budget. Cause I guess I don't want it to come off for us as a board that we are moving, for the most part, collectively, in approval of this decision, but I don't want us to seem as if we're just like out the loop. So I appreciate you sharing that you're meeting with superintendents of other districts, a part of the collaboration. So thank you.
Yeah, we had good discussion about that tonight. I think your point earlier, and then given the opportunity, some of our kids into some of the programs, so we'll get that word out for them and maybe make better use of it too, since we're already
Right.
involved.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah, actually, Dennis Bosick and I both, we've talked about how the fact that it's not easy to be the rep at Forbes Road, especially when it comes to these financial things, because we're not involved in it on a day-to-day or even a week-to-week basis. You show up once a month and there are resolutions and expenditure things on the agenda, and sometimes there's not a whole lot of detail. So sometimes they don't even get a quorum. But I've always felt not that bad about it, because one member there, the representative from Altoona, I think it is Steve Pushkar, who used to be the principal of the high school here. He's superintendent of the district now. I think it's Altoona. I'm not Allegheny Valley. Thanks. So and he's a real detail person. So I always kind of watch it. If Steve votes for something, then I know that at least he read over everything if I didn't have a chance to. But it's a little bit slippery, but we've never found anything wrong.
They seem to run very lean, to tell you the truth. In my opinion.
Right.
There was no increase last year in anything, because they had go with the teachers and they basically didn't raise anyone's salary, et cetera. So I mean, I think they do watch their pennies, but we don't, to Ed's point, we don't get much input into all the financial stuff. We just don't.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate you all going into that even further. I personally am in support of Forbes. I mean, when we think of operations and staffing and transportation alone, if we were to have kids to attend, would we be responsible for paying for transportation, or is that what Forbes coordinates? What does that look like?
We pay.
Yeah, we would pay for that.
We would have to pay for that.
So this is just operations specifically for Forbes with classes, whatever, needs that they have for each of the different programs that are offered, staff, administration, things like that.
Right.
Okay. Thank y'all.
Actually, I'm sorry, I just wanted to add one other thing too. They seem to have a lot of job fairs and they really try to basically go into the high schools and even lower grades to try to get kids interested because, you can get decent jobs with blue collar work and a lot of the, automotive and diesel and everything else they do. It's quite, from cosmetology, you name it, they've got a program,
Right.
for it. So I just think, with where our economy and opportunities are, I think it's a very good thing to support.
I agree.
I think it's interesting, and then we can move on. When we were when Forbes was our primary CTE opportunity, we had between 11 and 15 students a year attending there. And the last time I checked, we had 3 times that many participating in CTE at Westinghouse and through PPS. So I think it's well, for one thing, it's a matter of convenience. Kids are going to participate in a program like that, a whole lot more easily if it's in their building, rather than get bused, leave their classmates, get bused all the way out there, come home in the wintertime. You're coming home when it's dark, and it's Forbes was never that convenient, and our kids voted with their feet, by not going. So I'm glad to see the response at Westinghouse anyway.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
All right, so let's see, item B here, Rick.
Board action is requested to approve the homestead farmstead tax exemption as follows. Homestead farmstead exclusion for qualified homestead farmstead properties in accordance with Act 50 of 1998 and Homestead Property Exclusion Program Act of 2022-2023 state property tax reduction allocation is $805,132. Total homestead farmstead properties is 2,446. And the tax relief per homestead reduction in real estate taxes is $329.
So moved, Ed.
Second, Eric.
Any discussion?
Yeah, Rick, sorry. This is Vanessa speaking. I have a question. You probably already discussed this, but since this is for the future, do we ever get, I guess, reimbursed if the number is different in reality?
No. So what happens is this will be a reduction in everybody's real estate tax bill when they go out in July. That's it.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. And then there's just a typo, but it doesn't really matter. I guess you have 2023, 2023, and I think you mean 22.
Oh, thank you for catching that. Ashley, are you a yes?
Oh, yes. Sorry.
Board action is requested to approve the 2022-2023 proposed preliminary general fund certification with expenditures $32,367,344 and revenues at $32,118,389. And I'll fix that period.
So moved.
Second, Rob.
Any discussion? Yeah, let's go.
Yes, Ashley.
Yeah.
Motion passed.
All right. Policy and planning, number 246, Dr. Joe.
Yeah. Board action is requested to approve the first reading of policy 246, school wellness.
So moved, Ed.
Second, Eric.
Any discussion around this?
This is Vanessa. On the third page, it says that a wellness committee will be established, including a school board member, district administrator, district service representative, student, parent, guardian, school health professional, so on and so forth. So are we aware that we have to create such a committee?
Yes, we'll have to create this committee to make sure we're following it. Now, what we used to do in the past when I was building principal, we would have them part of our parent meeting and be part of that committee. So we'd combine them together. We don't really have to formalize. We just got to make sure that we have a board representative for those meetings.
All right, and then can you also clarify where the writing of this came from? Is it Matt production or just stated by?
So this policy was created by PSBA. Which
All
is,
right, so just sort of like the form, it's not particularly modified for Wilkinsburg. It's the standard across.
yeah, this is pretty much a policy that is required by the food nutrition at PD that we have to pass to meet our requirements.
And some things are documented through us. Some things are documented through nutrition group. Some things are about our programs and our practice, like our physical education. You'll see in there. It's quite a lengthy policy. So if you get a chance to take a look at it, as I went through it thoroughly at this point, because now that we're going through it again, just to see where some strengths, weaknesses that we have. But it is a lengthy policy, so if you get a chance. If you have questions, concerns beyond that, please let me know.
Just for the record, this policy has been in place as is. The only difference is the bolded section on vending machines.
Okay, thank you. I do want to point out that you can only have one classroom party a month according to this, which isn't very fun.
I just saw
But,
that too.
I mean, I don't know if Grinch Day, complaints with Christmas, like this is the thing that we need to discuss, guys.
Yeah, I as I read through the policy, especially focusing on the nutrition aspects of the policy, so nutrition promotion, for example, district schools shall promote nutrition through the implementation of farm to school activities. Does our district have any relationship at all with any farms in the area? Is there anyone that?
We currently do not.
Okay. I mean,
we do have fresh fruits and vegetables are provided daily through nutrition group. They provide every day fruits and vegetables in the morning to our kids beyond what they get at lunch and breakfast.
What? How about? This is probably the right question to ask. Like, do we have nutrition messaging? Consistent nutrition messaging that's being disseminated throughout the schools and the district? If like posters or anything like that, or any type of class that provides guidance on nutritional eating?
Some we could probably be better at it. I think probably addressed more in our physical education classrooms. But we could always do more. And yes, there are. Now that I think about it, there are signs in the cafeterias.
Right.
So they provide, the nutrition group provides those signs.
Yeah, and I have seen signs.
Where I'm going with this is I'd like to know, is nutrition group helping us at all with this?
Yeah. Yes, they are.
Okay. And what about physical activity? I mean, one of the things here is students shall participate daily in a variety of age-appropriate physical activities.
So that's where our recess comes into play, having recess daily, that fulfills that obligation as well, along with our physical education program itself.
Okay, I mean, is this something that we could audit? You know, this is a policy, so, you know, there should be, you know, a program somewhere that can meet this expectation. You know, do we have some stats or, you know, something that, some kind of program that says kids are doing this every day?
What we can do is what we've done in the past in my previous districts, where we have, where we can have a review of the things that are on here and what it is, and they provide it for you, and it lists, you know, if you're doing it well, if you're progressing, if you're not meeting it. We can put something like that together. And actually, I think they're already made. The ones that I've seen in the past, they're already created. And then we just use, you know, the people who'd be on the wellness committee would complete those.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I mean, even somebody taking pictures of scuff marks on the backboards in the gymnasium. I mean, just so we know that things are being used, that there's physical activity taking place in the gyms. You know, a couple of posters somewhere in the school with a couple of pictures where you can document that kind of thing. Like, I just want to make sure we're adhering to this policy and we don't get sued in the future for not doing so.
Now, after going through it, we are adhering to the policy. Are there areas that we can improve in? There's no doubt about that. But yeah, we are adhering to the policy. And nutrition's been a good resource for that.
Okay. The other thing is, you know, I look at this policy, and honestly, this is the first time I've looked at this policy in depth. You know, so I just have questions about it because I've never looked at it before. But, you know, things like, so there's a provision in this policy that says physical activity should not be used or withheld solely as a form of punishment. We don't do that, right?
No. As far as
I mean, we wouldn't tell a kid, hey, you can't go out to recess because you were bad today.
No, we try to follow our school-wide PBIS policy. Now, if those are incentives for something, like if there's an extra one or something that pertains to that, as far as an incentive, that could fall under our school-wide PBIS. But if it's a scheduled classroom, it should be.
I do agree with that one thing. I mean, I don't know if we have that happening or not, but if we can make sure that it's not happening across the board with any teachers, that recess is being, that students are held back from recess, because I strongly believe they need that time to get out and spend that energy. And I know that does happen in some schools. And since it's in the policy, and also since probably most of us agree that shouldn't be used as a punishment, can we just make sure that that's not happening across the board with all the teachers, that they know that that should not be happening?
Now, if it did happen, it could end up happening to be a safety reason, if the kids out there creating a safety problem while they're out there. But where this is pertaining to is if they're in a classroom, it should be held for behavior reasons for that classroom. If we have a kid out there up on the monkey bars and being pushed off or something, you know, or outside or on a swing and being pushed off, that's a different story compared to using it as a you know, as a punishment for an in-classroom thing. So I don't know if that makes sense on that.
Yeah. But I guess our question is mostly, can we make sure that that's your understanding, what you're saying, but do you know for a fact that all the teachers have the same policy?
Can I say 100% that that's being done, but should be understood? So yeah, we can get that put out. I don't want to vouch for every teacher that we have.
So that's what I'm saying. Well, maybe that's what I'm saying. I think that it's important that the teachers know where the board stands on it and where you as a superintendent stand on it. Maybe that wasn't ever made clear before. I don't know.
So what we can do is we'll share the policy with everybody and our expectations and the board expectations. Agree.
Vanessa speaking again. The motion is to like approve the first reading of the policy. I'm wondering, like, why did we not go through this in the policy committee or side discussion like we had started to do with the other policy? Like, is it possible to revisit this at a later time period Like, why do we need to approve it right now?
Yeah, so we have to have this approved by June 30th per the food nutrition guidelines at PDE. So again, the policy was in place. It's just that they needed us to add the vending machine section to our policy that already existed.
And is this the only
So-
reading? Do we have another reading of it? Because it does say first reading.
Well, we usually do 2 readings.
That's what I thought. So when's the second reading?
June.
Okay. The planning meeting for June.
Well, that'll be we'll have to vote on it at the voting meeting.
Right, but I mean, we'll discuss it, or is there a policy committee meeting?
We could have one. I mean, I don't know. We don't have a policy committee, so to speak, do we, Ed?
Oh, I thought that's what Vanessa had mentioned.
Well,
Yeah,
she
like
was
we had been
referring-
meeting. Yeah.
I thought she was referring to the finance piece of it that we met as a group.
Okay, I mean, I
That
think
is-
something we can maybe discuss at the planning meeting. I just because I haven't had a chance to
We
look
can.
at it either, and I'm not going to look over it before today. I'm going to abstain on this vote just because I can't vote either way. But I was going to ask, we should have another reading, so I'll look it over before.
Yeah. We'll get this on the June planning meeting agenda for discussion, Ashley.
Okay.
We can do it there, yeah?
Yep.
The other thing to keep in mind, if I may, is 90% of this policy is dictated by statute and regulations.
Right. We would be out of compliance with the food nutrition department of PDE if we don't pass this policy.
But the question being
We
asked,
might
are we
pass the
following it?
policy and still be out of compliance, though. I mean, this policy
Here's-
says we need to do certain things, and I don't know that we're doing these things. Do we have any vending machines inside the school?
I don't think we do.
We have one at the administration office.
Is it accessible to children and students?
No.
All right, so that doesn't apply. The rest of the policy is actually the concern that I have. We may not be meeting it. I don't know that we offer competitive foods, for example.
Well, so this whole policy stemmed from an administrative review from the Department of Education. We met all the guidelines and all the requirements that we were reviewed on. This was the only one that we did not meet because of the addition of the vending machine section. So everything in this policy, they are saying we are meeting.
Got it.
It was an administrative review. It's a food nutrition from PDE audit.
I feel like we're overcomplicating this.
Yes, we are, Rob. That's exactly what I was going to say. And Rick just
Maybe we are, maybe we're not. I mean,
Well,
I don't know.
down for a yes.
Well, I mean, let's read the policy, please. I know, Ashley, you said you didn't read it.
Policy.
Are you sure we're overcomplicating it? I mean, be real, be honest.
Yeah, I am.
Did you read it?
I do feel that we are overcomplicating it. I think that what was just explained to us is that there was an addition to this policy that's been in place. And if there was an issue of us not following it, when the administrators who went over this reviewed it would have stated that, and that's not what's happening. Now, if we as a board want to have more concrete answers so that we can personally speak on what this policy is stating we should be doing, we can ask that of Joe and our administration. But this was clearly explained to us from Matt that there was just an addition that we needed to be reviewing.
I didn't feel it was clear, honestly. I don't know who the administrators were that reviewed this policy and who went in and took a look at what we're doing inside the schools. So if you agree that that's what happened, then great, because I don't have any reassurance that that's what happened here. I heard that someone looked at the policy and said they offered some feedback on the vending machines, but that they even look at our program? Did they look at what food we're being offered here? I mean,
Yes, they did.
What I said was that we could have asked those questions to Joe and to the folks who have gone through this. And in regards to our nutrition, we go through a process to even contract with someone to provide our food. So I would think that that's the competitive part, that we're not just picking someone because we know them.
Joe's been trying to say yes to these various questions about are we doing these things?
Yes, yeah, and we are. And Eric, that's kind of how I explained to you before. What the process has been in past school districts is when our wellness policy, when our wellness group gets together, what we can do, I kind of see where you're going to, but what we can do is we develop that. What's going well, what's not going well, where's our need improvement. You'll go through this policy, and as I went through it already, there's areas where we're doing very well at. There's areas where we can improve at. But are we violating the policy? The answer is no. We are actually meeting the policy, but are there areas where we can improve? Without a doubt. But that would be the job of our wellness team to go through that policy and say, hey, we doing this well, or are we not doing this well? And if we're not doing well, how can we fix it? But we can do that. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Not really. Not to me. I mean, I think we should be meeting the policy before we decide that we're going to go look and see whether we're meeting the policy. Let's.
Well, this is the first read, so there is time for that. There's going to be another reading of it before it goes through.
Okay, as I said,
Well,
get this on.
if we read it, there will be another reading. If we read it.
I mean, it's going to be on the agenda. So to the point of if we read it, okay, if we read it, but everybody individually has a vote that they can take. And so the point is that this is the first read. There will be a second read. If after the second read, someone doesn't feel confident, vote no.
Okay, we call the vote and move on.
Well, I think it passed.
Motion
Yeah,
passed
yeah,
with 6 yeses, 1 no, and 2 abstentions.
All right, it passed. Moving into section 13, item A, Ms. Boutry.
Sorry, I'm juggling a kid situation at the same time. 1 second. Okay, board action is requested to approve the purchase of bags and toys for all students at a cost of $30 per student. I guess I'll read the rest. Agenda item was discussed at marketing committee meetings to be funded from ESSER funds.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion around this? I recall at the marketing committee meeting, the reason that we wanted to make this expenditure was that to address the what's called the physical education learning loss that occurred when students were homebound learning, that they weren't having physical education class, and I've read about this bit. There was seriously an increase in obesity, childhood obesity, and some other problems that came out of it. What concerns me is that there's no mention in this resolution about that. It just says we're buying toys. It doesn't provide really much of a good rationale for that. I'd like to see the resolution reworded or something added to it as to why are we buying these toys and things for students. Otherwise, just buying toys and bags, it looks a little frivolous.
I thought that it was, and Kelly's still on the call, she could probably speak better to this than I can, but I thought she said that, that the phys ed teachers, they were the ones that picked out the different things that would be part of the bag, as far as like sport equipment, that sort of thing. And like what they thought was needed, right? More so than toys. For the purpose, it sounded to me like there was a purpose behind the items that were selected.
Yeah, and I looked at the list of things, and most of them make sense. You know what I mean? Most of the things make sense for the kids to use it, go outside, use this ball, use that. I forget what some of the other things were, but I mean, clearly the things that you would go do. You know what I mean? Physically do something. That's all. I just said it's not in the resolution. That's all. The resolution says we're buying toys. And I wish that it said.
Equipment or
Yeah, if it said toys and sports equipment, or to continue physical education at home over the summer, or if it actually said to address phys ed learning loss. I mean, which is one of the ways we can spend ESSER funds. But just saying the
I
purchase.
don't like the word toys either. Yeah, you can definitely agree. You word it physical education equipment, something like that. rather than
Or
toys.
phys ed items,
Phys ed,
anything like
yeah,
that?
You know, pre-selected physical education equipment or something like that.
We rework on that.
Well, we can, if Eric and Michael
Because I agree.
are okay with that change. They made the motion second.
Eric and Michael, are you okay with that change? Because I agree, because as down the road, if we ever pull these, I agree, it kind of looks like we're buying toys, but I'd like to see the purpose on there, so down the road, we say, all right, you okay with that?
Yes, please.
I'm also okay with it. Yeah.
So
Yeah, I agree. Just to think of public access to it as well, so anyone can pull up our notes and votes, and this could look, you know, we can not leave room for question.
And even if it said, if we replace bags and toys with physical activity items, recommended by the phys ed department, something like that, that adds a little,
Athletic items to address childhood obesity through physical activity.
I'm fine
I
with
like
that.
learning loss. What if that's what it was specifically for, though? Learning loss and physical activity, maybe, I don't know.
Well, I think that that's the principle that generated all of this when Kelly was doing some reading and came across this phenomenon that, and then I looked into myself, and there was a spike in childhood obesity when the kids were trapped inside. So
Yeah.
makes perfect sense. I'm glad that we have the money to be able to do this. It's just that if we could explain it a little bit better. So,
Yes.
what's the?
Yeah, I like learning instruments.
What do you say?
Michael said he likes learning instruments. Well, what's the recommended rewording? Do we have any?
I know the first one I said was what? Athletic
Equipment to maintain physical activity.
to maintain physical activity.
Yeah, so if we replace that, if we replace bags and toys with what you just said, so do we have to read it again?
No,
No? Okay,
Eric and Michael, who made the motion second, consented to that change.
all right, that's fine then.
Rick can change it in the minutes.
Got it.
So waiting on you.
Just waiting on Michael and Vanessa, waiting on Michael. Motion passed.
All right. Summer program, Dr. Thorpe.
Board action is requested to approve matching funds to collaborate with Wilkinsburg. Oops, I lost it. Wilkinsburg Borough on the offering of summer programs for Wilkinsburg youth, not to exceed $12,000 paid or from ESSER funds.
Moved, Ashley.
Second,
Michael.
Hey, this is Vanessa speaking. We like last week we had the question about why it's 12,000 not 6,000 when that was Juanita's recommendation, and then following up from there, we had Mr. Milberger write us that he requests $6,000. So I had emailed the group to change the wording. Are we able to change it to 6,000? Is there a reason why it's 12,000?
So Vanessa, in the beginning, I said 6,000 because I was under the impression per ed that we were doing a summer activity or recreation with our own summer school. And I wasn't updated at the time when that it wasn't going to come through. So that's why I said 6,000. Then when speaking with Ed per ed, we always matched the borough, and the borough, and I checked with Mike again, the borough is giving 12,000, so we're matching the borough, but Mike doesn't feel as though we're going to need that much because in the beginning we were talking about full-time employees, but now we have part-time, so we probably won't even get up past 6,000 to 7,000, but we're just matching what the council is giving.
I just don't understand why we would just give them money, like without, like if he asks for 6,000, is the borough able to modify theirs and then we do like what would that be, 9,000, 9,000?
So
I mean, what
that-
happens if we just pay them and it just sits there?
So from my understanding, and Ed, please correct me, we don't just pay them, they give us the receipt at the end. That's how it was explained to me. So
Correct.
we're not just giving them money. We get a receipt and we match that at the end, correct, Ed?
Yeah, we don't transfer a lump sum to the borough. The borough does all the payment, bookkeeping, all that sort of thing for this program. And so what we do is match them dollar for dollar. To my understanding, we don't send over, in fact, I'm sure, we don't send over a lump sum. We are, the borough shows us what they spent and we match it dollar for dollar. The program has been simpler in the past. There weren't as many staff as we have this year. And I'd feel better if we saw a budget or a plan for this. And we tried, I know Dr. Thorpe has tried, and we just can't get one.
Ed, is it, because I remember just speaking with Milberger about this. Isn't this specifically because of hiring actual staff instead of him doing it?
Correct.
So there's a question on staffing still, because I'm sure he's probably still figuring it out.
Yeah, it is. The increase is due to hiring a program manager, sort of a director, and I think 2 assistant ones. So there'll be part-time positions to run the program. So that Mike doesn't have to do that. He's done it for years.
Ed, I can answer her question if you give me a chance.
Oh, sure.
The program will be managed by the borough manager, which is John Antonori, if I'm saying his name right.
Yeah.
And I believe they have like 2 crossing guards so far. Mike actually sent out to the school board on May 18th, my birthday, a list of an outline for us. So, yeah.
I have not checked an email, but I will go ahead and I see there's a million. So, okay.
And that email is what Vanessa's referring to when he mentioned, I believe he mentioned it shouldn't, he was asking the board for 6,000 or more, but then he emailed me again because I was questioning that. And he did say, and I can forward that to the board, my understanding is council did approve 12. So per what I was told per Ed is that we match council dollar per dollar. So that's why it's 12,000.
Yeah, historic, that's what I've seen before too. So, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Rick, you can put me down for you.
Okay.
Juanita, we had a lot of other questions too about like indemnification and just sort of general concerns about like the signposting and the liability of this. Do you feel like the borough had to talk to their insurance to make sure that they actually were aware of how the program was signposted for liability purposes?
So in the beginning, Denise said that the liability was taken all by the borough, that we were just matching dollar from dollar because that was what was done in the past, but they take all liability. And that's the only part I can answer for you.
And that's what I was told last year as well, because that was a concern of mine when I first heard about this last summer, was what's the school district's liability? Because I don't know who is involved and who's doing what. And so that was a big issue last summer when we discussed this. Is there a school liability? And I was told there's no liability with the school district.
Do we have that in writing now? Because I remember we did discuss this and it was like, you know, hearing that Mr. Milberger say that, oh, people thought I was going to take care of their kids, but it's not my responsibility if they wander off. It just sounded like whether or not we have actual coverage by the liability policy of the borough, which would have to be in writing, but just like the blowback of that could be pretty significant for co-funding. So I was very uneasy with the way it had been run to date and did not want it to jeopardize this. I thought we were lucky that it hadn't.
Vanessa, what I'll do is I'll check through my emails that I got last summer. There was something that was sent to me that I felt comfortable now that I knew we weren't liable for it. So let me go through those emails and see if I can find anything. And if not, maybe we can request something.
You weren't alone, Joe. I think I remember him saying something too, like we're not. I think, do they sign a waiver? Is that what happens?
No, there's no waivers. There's no signs, nothing.
I just remember him saying something. I like put my mind at ease too. But yeah, I mean, I can't specifically remember. So yeah, Dr. Joe, you could do that. That'd be.
I'll go ahead and do that tomorrow.
Thank you, Joe, Dr. Joe.
Yep.
I just want to say I'm voting no on this because I don't think it's right that we get at least an outline of the amount that it's going to cost, and then we just sort of vote to approve based off of what the borough does. To me, it should, reflect what a budget is being used, and there should be a plan, and then we fund it. If we just sort of send money out, I just don't think it sets a good precedent for how we are managing public funds.
So I just kind of want to add to this whole conversation about the summer program that's offered. It's very come as you please for the young people in the community. I believe oftentimes it's as simple as kids could be outside and walk past and see that there's other kids at the park and they come and join. Michael, I don't know if you have just any recollection from your time on council, but this is also like the free lunch program is offered through this summer program. Milberger, I hear your concern with his statement about kids coming and going, but I believe that's kind of how this summer program kind of works. It's not like parents come sign their kids up to participate all summer. It's just an offering that's available for kids who may just be, playing outside, and the borough has something that's a little organized. And because it's youth focused, the school district has supported this in regards to whatever money is needed to offer whatever activities and the people that come to this program. I believe the Carnegie Science Center has come before. There is a list of things that are brought to it. Liability, yeah, whatever we can get in writing, I think we should get, but just my recollection of how this program works, if I'm not mistaken.
And Vanessa, I'd like to add, because I definitely see where you're coming from about the amount that Mr. Milberger has put out there. I think at this point, because we've been having meetings since February, I've been talking back and forth. Ed knows I've been talking to him, sending emails back and forth. And I think Mr. Milberger at this point just wanted us to give something so that they can get this on the road. But the council back in when I believe it was like late February, early March, we started discussing this. They said they offered 12,000. And at this point, we were taking so long that Mr. Milberger just wanted something.
Yeah, I mean, it always ends up running massive surpluses due just to the lack of kids participating. So I doubt it'll be anywhere near that much, but
I appreciate all those reasons. I just still personally don't want to vote on something without seeing a budget or a plan. I just don't think it sets a good precedence, but it looks like it might pass anyway. So
I think that it did pass. Do we have all the votes in, Rick?
Yeah, we have 5 yeses, 2 nos, and 2 abstentions.
All right, motion passes.
And I'll withdraw my question.
Oh, well, sorry, Mr. Sedley, I forgot. I saw you were there. Do you want to ask a question?
I withdraw my question.
Okay. Yeah, we got kind of into the details there, and I saw your hand raised, and I forgot to call on you. The steel building, never safe, Rick Liberto.
Board action is requested to approve the purchase and installation of a 30 by 30 by 9 steel garage building per attached specifications at a cost of $15,490 paid for from Capital Project Fund.
And Rick, can you, so
Second.
Rick, can you confirm the the all-in cost? Is this 15.5 or is this, because I remember we did a concrete pad or we were talking about
Yeah,
that.
so we're still reviewing our options. This is basically so we can lock in the price. When we first started to look at this shed a month and a half ago, it was $13,000. Now it went up to 15. So we're trying to lock that price in, and then we will review our options as far as either gravel, concrete, or and then if additional electricity is needed. There's electricity there now, but we just need to figure out if we're going to be using it.
Okay. Yeah, I think we talked about this, or planning or finance, but yeah, I mean, I'm really supportive of this. It's a good alternative.
Yeah. And we will come back with the additional cost, if any, for the gravel and or concrete.
Okay.
Is this for storage or construction?
This is for this, so we can remove the trailers at Kelly Elementary.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Rick, it's Dennis. I'm certainly in support of it. I just wondered if we have any assurances from the borough that they're not going to, give us a crazy time with code. Do we know anything about that?
The last, Dr. Joe may be able to speak a little bit better to this, but the last Ed checked Rosiac. We were under the 1,000 square feet that would require any type of borough approval.
I see. Okay.
Am I correct, Dr. Joe?
That's what the last I heard. I did reach out to Ed this week. I didn't hear back. I wanted to try to get more costs for everybody. We had some better numbers, but I understand we want to lock in the price as well.
My concern about this is that we already bought one building, and for about $30,000, I think. And the last we checked, it was just sort of lying in pieces up the hill from Turner Field, and we didn't do anything with that because once the borough looked at it, the cost to put it together all of a sudden was up to about $500,000. It wasn't to put that one together; it was to build a different one because by that point that one wasn't going to suit us. So we still don't know a total cost or even an estimated total cost for getting this done, do we?
We don't.
We have an estimated cost for concrete of around $9,000, but we are seeking quotes and everything to see where we're at, and to see if the better option would be even gravel. Because Dr. Joe,
Vanessa,
go ahead.
sorry, I just wanted to echo Denny's question about the code enforcement. I didn't really feel satisfied with the response that we got there. What happened with the last shed, it sounds like I did, come into it halfway through, but it sounds like, the shed was purchased and then we find out that in order for that size of shed, et cetera, to be code compliant, it would have ended up costing $500,000. So in this case, I mean, I understand that the last time there was a size issue, which we are now underneath, but I would feel so much more comfortable if we did talk to code and kind of even got the permit for the site, maybe even in advance, or at least soft proposed it.
Yeah, you're right, Vanessa, but we won't need a permit for this. But I will say that the reason we ran into the difficulty is this is considered a shed. They considered the other one a maintenance facility because of the size.
So we won't need a permit for it. We can just erect this structure at our whim.
That is my understanding from the borough.
Okay,
there's 1,000 square feet limit.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll vote yes on this, but I would really like it if we could confirm that,
Sure.
just that there's going to be no barriers other than getting a concrete quote before we send the check.
And we won't release a PO for this product until we have all that locked in.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I do want to make sure Ed gets that to me. I just feel comfortable with the total cost as well.
So we're doing this to lock in the price, but we're not going to do a purchase order until.
I think we can do that, right, Rick?
Yeah, we
won't do the purchase order until we have total cost given to the board.
That is correct, and we will. Correct. That is absolutely correct, and we've confirmed that with the company, so we can just lock in the pricing.
Yeah, but that's not what the resolution says.
Well, we don't.
I'm just saying, that's, the resolution says it's to purchase and install it. You know, I'd feel so much better if I saw something from the borough, that section of the borough code says, because this is a shed, it doesn't matter. Because the last time I was looking through the borough stuff, it was anything over, these things had to be under 600 square feet. In that case, we wouldn't fit. That's just what I found. I'm not saying that's the answer, but I did find there's some sort of a structure that borough code mentions that it has to be under 600 square feet. So code is very complicated. It's
Well,
about
we
my-
could add to the resolution if you want, contingent upon borough approval or borough.
I would like that
lines.
because it might be something else this time. You never know. Like now that we're in a shed category, there might be a whole other part of code that we didn't even invoke the last time.
Any other questions or comments on this?
Are you modifying the motion?
Yeah, I'm fine with modifying the motion for that.
I agree.
Who's okay? Who were the? who
That was
brought it?
Rob and Ashley.
Yeah.
Okay, so- All right, so the new wording will simply add that phrase, subject to
Contingent.
contingent upon borough approval, yeah, all right.
That can be very subjective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with that change, Rick, can you switch my vote to a yes, or can I do that?
Yeah, mine is a yes. Thanks, Rick.
You're welcome. I switched you, Ed.
Thank you.
Oh, wait. I switched Ed.
All right.
I keep switching back.
Well,
Put on yours.
no, I can't, I don't think I can do it.
Right here at the top.
Where?
No, we'll go back to where we were.
Yeah,
Well,
it's gone.
it's gone now, but right there said change vote. And it's gone now.
Okay, it passed, didn't it?
It did.
That's what matters. Okay, that's what matters. All right. Okay, oh, here we go. I have another window. All right. All right. All right, that was it. Netflix.
Board action is requested to approve an agreement with Netflix for the use of the Wilkinsburg High School for 15 days in August at a rental fee of $7,500 per solicitor's approval of attached agreement. Just so everybody knows that agreement has been approved by Matt.
All right. There's nothing to fill in. There's nothing to fill in. Okay. This one has blanks. All first page.
So moved, Vanessa.
Yeah, just what's on the on board docs appears to be the original proposal. It doesn't appear to be the revised.
Yeah, it's not signed or anything.
Yeah, and there are dates.
We did submit requested changes that Netflix agreed to.
Can you tell just scanning it if any of those changes are reflected here, Matt?
They are not. This is the original agreement. The agreements have been still going back and forth as of Friday of last week. But Matt approved the agreements. I believe it was Friday, Matt.
Yeah, I know it was last week. I'm just saying what's on the board docs.
Yeah,
is
we can.
the original proposal, not the revised.
Wait, $7,500 for 15 days. That seems kind of low.
That's what I was thinking, Michael.
Yeah, because that's going to be very inconvenient.
Isn't that per day?
Driving around that and everything like that. All those trailers and stuff.
Is that per day or total?
It's $500 a day.
Yeah, they got a bargain there. That's true.
Yeah. Did someone second this? We're definitely having a conversation. I'll second it if not.
I think we got hustled.
Yeah, I guess that's, yeah. And then this is like, I mean, I guess it's Netflix, but didn't they just record something at the baseball field? Was that last summer?
Yeah, I believe it was the summer before COVID.
Was it?
I can't remember. You might be right. I can't remember.
Well, weren't they supposed to do something to the bleachers and they didn't?
Oh, yeah,
It was
absolutely.
last summer, it was
Yeah, it was
last
last summer.
Right.
Weren't they supposed to fix the bleachers and the bleachers were not fixed?
Yeah, they absolutely were supposed to do that. The thing is, they make us promises, and I don't think we ever follow through to see that we got it.
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of bring that up too with this low price. I mean, I know like a contract has already been, done, but how are these rental fees negotiated?
Yeah, do they just make an offer and we just take
That's basically what has happened in the past. They just make us an offer based on what they're paying in other locations for this particular film.
Oh no, man! I think that they owe us about maybe $1,500 a day, maybe $2,000 if not more.
Yeah, and if possible, if we can review back to the previous whatever the contract was and where it stated things that they would do, and if they didn't do it, how can we follow up on that? Because
Didn't they fix the boiler for 15,000? Wasn't that necessary?
Well, yeah, they did fix a boiler in the high school once because they wanted to film in the wintertime. And then the star of the movie showed up and didn't know her lines or something. They had to cancel that filming. Yeah, parts of it. But anyway, they fixed the boiler, but they deducted that from the really nice rent they were going to pay. They didn't say that up front, but it turned out that if they were going to pay $30,000 and the boiler was $15,000, they only paid us $15,000 in rent. So they really kind of used our money, in a way to pay for the boiler. It's the way that one worked out. But
how many days was that for?
I don't remember.
3 days.
But there were a number of days, 4 or 5 days of setup in advance of that. So they really had it for more days than just the filming days. And then Marissa Tomei was the name of the actress, and she showed up and didn't know any of her lines, and they fired her and had to get somebody else, and whatever. But Mr. Steadley. Eric, your hand is up.
I just want to mention that I work a lot with media companies that do this type of thing. There are lots and lots of opportunities to negotiate with media companies where we can, ask for certain things, including, positive reputation, advancing things like, including the name of the school and the credits, including you working with additional folks in our area. We have a very significant drama program at a nearby university that we're all familiar with, Carnegie Mellon. And so there's many reasons with which to work with our local, media production companies. The nature of this agreement, I operate a small business myself, and I gotta mention, if I can get a gig for $500 a day, that would be an outstanding gig for me personally. The fact that these guys are paying, like not much more than that for the use of an entire school seems like it is a bargain. And so, one thing I haven't heard yet is, there's an amendment to this agreement, to this agenda item that says per solicitor's approval of the attached agreement. Have we had the solicitor's approval of this agreement?
Well, hold on. Last week I provided revisions to the agreement, which were mostly accepted. So, I mean, and I'm looking at it strictly in terms of, the legal language. I'm not negotiating anything. So if you folks want to either look to increase the rent or have, recognition rights, as Eric just spoke to, that's not the purpose of my review. You guys, if you want to negotiate other terms, you've got to give Rick or me direction as to what you want in that regard.
But Matt, can you tell, is this the agreement that, as you revised it?
No, that's the original.
Okay. All right, I can't.
So
can't do this.
I guess my question then is, do we as a board, because Netflix comes to us every year, so do we need to look back on previous contracts? How much have they been paying for, renting our spaces and coming up with like some kind of fee schedule?
Right.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, they're not just renting the building; they're taking up all kinds of block space.
Well, you're right about that, Michael. You're right about that, but they have a separate agreement with the borough for that.
Oh, so that's where the real money's going. I bet you to the borough.
Well, in your
Maybe not.
library, there was an agreement from 2019. It was for $15,000.
For the same space?
So
it was for use of the high school, although it says over 63 days.
Okay, so this is like, okay. Okay.
So they've been getting a bargain out of us for a while.
Yeah, that's not to say you can't go back and negotiate. That's right.
Yeah, it's 2022. Damn it! Like it's inflation season.
So I'll just mention that I searched the Wilkinsburg Borough Council website for Netflix and nothing came up. Not a damn thing.
Yeah, they had to go through them for approval for parking and to use the roads because they weren't going to be permitted by the borough to film in Wilkinsburg because of the bridge collapse.
Oh yeah, because Chief's not shutting down some roads. Yeah.
Right. So they went back and negotiated with them. I don't know what they're paying, but they are paying, and they're also paying for the police department to monitor the site.
Okay.
The last time the Borough Council posted anything about filming in Wilkinsburg was on August 27th, 2021.
Okay. Well, they may just not have approved it yet at this time.
They also don't update their site as regularly. I have another point. This is not really relevant to the cost, but Netflix usually chooses to film things that I think cast our area in a less than positive light, like Mindhunter, for example, kind of like serial killers. And if you do watch it, it's kind of like, I don't know, showing like a kind of derelict area. I was surprised to see Miss Hannah's summary of what this film will be about because it looks like a horror movie, which is fine. But my idea last week to have our kids involved in it may not be. I don't know, like maybe they can't watch themselves in the movie. Anyway, that's just a thought I had. Is like, when we sell our area out sort of for commodification, just making sure that we are respected in some way, and we're not just sort of leaning into tropes or stereotypes.
I agree. Yes.
I think I missed the point. What? I'm confused. What are we talking about now?
Just the movies that they
Netflix
tend
renting.
to film. Well, it's when Netflix films in our area, it's usually like dark, scary things about derelict, backwards communities. So
They can build us up or they can bring us down. What do we want?
Are the movies called, like, specifying they're in Wilkinsburg?
Yeah,
Like,
that's what I'm saying. I don't think they are.
I didn't either.
No,
okay.
I don't think we ever have it before.
I mean, we know they're in Wilkinsburg, but the people who film it, I mean, I don't know where movies are filmed when I watch Netflix movies.
Yeah.
So it sounds like we just need to negotiate the fee, or do we have a list of something that we want them to fix?
Well, they should come before the board, don't you think? And tell us what they're going to do.
They'll just go somewhere
Give
else.
us a script.
No.
Maybe. Yeah, or they can. Or they can do that.
I don't think we need to make them come in front of the board. Why can't we just counteroffer?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be that hard.
Yeah, I don't need them to come in front of me. I just need to have all these questions answered before we approve something.
Right. And how do we come up with what we think is fair?
Triple it.
Well, the last time that Matt referred to was $238 a day.
That's
And we're
like
getting
less.
500 a
That's
day
like
now.
that's honestly, that's a mediocre salary, to be quite honest, of one person.
All right, let's not go there.
I guess my
Let's
thought
just
is
vote.
we
Let's
need
just
to have
vote.
a schedule on these when Netflix wants to come in, we can be more organized on our end, and then Netflix can choose if they want to keep filming here or not.
Yep, the worst they can do is say no.
Did we have a
And if so,
deadline?
well, what?
So are we not countering the offer?
Yeah, I want to counter.
Yeah, I want to make a motion to counter.
Who's negotiating?
I can call them. I'll call them tomorrow. What do you guys want to offer?
So
You guys, I don't think this is something
I,
that.
honestly, I don't want to offer anything until I hear their story. Could we bring them before the board, please?
Hear the story about what?
Can we please hear what they're offering?
Ladies and gentlemen, could we have a motion to table this and then ask Rick to work this out and get a hold of them, something?
Motion to table this, Rob.
I second Juanita.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? All right, we're going to table this.
I just need direction on what to go back with.
We can
You
do
want to
that.
double it? You triple it?
Is there any way that we can find out how much they usually pay if they're paying other places, or can we just ask them, like, what are you paying other comparable places? Because I think I heard you say that's what they do. They offer based on what they're paying other. But how do we know that that's actually what they're paying other places?
Right. Well, they
Right
also
now.
offer. They also offer, and maybe Eric will know this, based on the budget of the film itself.
I would
And
say.
I know that they're scouring the borough trying to find households to be able to use for indoor filming. There are some ancillary benefits in quotes, all of this, but my problem is that the agreement that is in front of us is not filled in, and you know, I can't vote yes to an agreement that has all those lines in it. I mean, the $7,500, I don't mind that, but I don't know what we're voting on.
We table it. So the next question is, what do you want it to go back to the Netflix with?
I think we just hit them with a flat amount, like 25, and hope they come back with like 17.5. But then are we upset if they walk and no longer use our school?
Right. And then
Hopefully a year and a half from now, it won't be our school anyway, but I mean, that's $7,500, or if they make it $10,000 or $12,500, it's not, that amount's not gonna make or break the school district. Like I said, the amount isn't what bothers me, it's that the paperwork isn't.
Well, it's the amount, but it's also me questioning like other things that they've stated they would do, and I haven't seen that being done, like the bleachers at the field. So that's more so my question with this fee that I do think is fairly low. And then another thing, Rick, if you could ask them if this film production is being worked on with a local director, like someone from Pittsburgh.
they listed it's on our website who's the director.
It's on our website?
I think Kelly, did you post it? Kelly Hanna I sent her the information. I don't know if she posted it yet.
So,
Okay, she did not. She texted me and said she did not post it. But
can we find out what was in the past, what agreements were made with them, what they had agreed to do, and then what has not been fulfilled or completed, make that stipulation. Things need to be completed in order for us to move at this rate, or if they're not going to do that, then we would like them to pay, we needed a higher fee or whatever. So then it could even be like, say 500 right now is what they're offering, then we go,
Leave that bag there.
1,000 a day. I don't know. That's for me not knowing what the comparables are, but still saying, you know, you didn't meet the agreement. Why should we continue to work with you? We don't really need this money, but you know, either meet the agreement in the past or else pay us more.
What the borrow's cut is.
Eric has his hand up.
Yeah, I just want to mention if there's got to be a contract somewhere. Can we please see that contract?
I just sent it to you.
Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, Rick just sent the contract and I was looking at it. I just wanted to point out that like the very last page says that they have the right to paint the building however they see fit, which and then they'll leave it that way. I just wanted to point out that we should probably loop in the WCDC, who's currently trying to market the building, and make sure that they get the chance to kind of weigh in on maybe how we should negotiate. They, by the way, have worked with Netflix in the past in some of our main areas. I do want to say that like a few years ago, they came through and painted some of the storefronts on Wood Street to make them look janky, befitting the film that they were filming at the time. And then they just kind of left it. So they sort of like had like made our main street look worse than it was before. And obviously we're really trying to work on that. So anyway, we should ask the WCDC if they have any words of advice pertaining to the marketing of the high school and just Netflix contracts.
Okay, Mr. Stadley. Oh, yeah, we already got your comment. Any other discussion here? We spent a long time on this that we should have talked about last week. And it's because the document's not even completed properly. Okay.
There was a resolution to table this item.
Yeah, it's already been tabled, right?
Let's move on.
Yeah, right, exactly. Item E, the MOU with the police department.
Board action is requested to approve the MOU between the Wilkinsburg School District and the Wilkinsburg Police Department effective July 1st, 2022.
So moved, Ashley.
Second, Michael.
Any discussion?
I'll just mention that I reviewed this agreement last year, and I had some concerns at the time about the understanding. After I considered it deeply, I think I was okay with the current edits. I really haven't reviewed this current version. I don't know what it says, and so I'm not sure what has changed. Does anybody know what has changed in this agreement?
I don't believe anything's changed.
Right. This was the same agreement as last year.
Ashley, yes. Rick, thanks.
Waiting for Michael and Juanita.
Michael and Juanita, could you vote, please?
Motion passes.
All right, thank you. Let's see, where are we? The Student Envoy Program, Dr. Melissa.
Yes, board action is requested to approve the student envoy project per attached. This was presented to the board in April. Cost for the 2-day training for staff would be $10,000, $5,000 per day. PPS central office staff will facilitate the teacher leader envoy training at no cost to the WSD, paid for from the ESSER fund.
So moved.
Second, Dennis.
Yes, for Ashley.
Motion passed.
All right, the screener.
Yeah, board action is requested to approve the pass screener for $18,810, includes PD, consulting, and intervention guide for 3 years. Furthermore, the board action is requested to approve the zones of regulations, grades pre-K through second, and AIM accept, identify, and move for grades 3 through 6. Total cost approximately $14,715, includes PD. Total for both is $33,525 taken from ESSER funds required to be spent on SEL.
So moved, Ed.
Second.
And discussion. Okay, let's vote.
Sure.
Just waiting for Vanessa.
I've been pressing yes, but nothing's happening.
Motion passed.
All right, and oh, that's it. The iPad matter was resolved last week.
We have an adjudication on the agenda.
Oh, that's right. Sorry, item H, Dr. Malishnik.
Yeah, board actions request to approve the attached adjudication providing for the termination of employment of building aide Tamika Taylor effective March 17th, 2022.
So moved, Ed.
Second, Dennis.
I don't have a window.
Yes for Ed.
We don't have any absent, do we?
Motion passed.
All right, thank you. The iPad 14A, that was resolved last week. What to do with that? About sending bills to people. Do we? Was that done yet, Rick?
That happened, certified mail.
Okay, great. Thank you. So if there's nothing for the good of the order, we can jump to item 17. Board action is requested to adjourn the meeting.
Ed, I did actually want to say something today. I don't know if I missed anything in the beginning, but I did just want to make a comment in light of the school shooting that happened today in Texas. I know that as a school board, we're fairly limited on policy things that we can do for that, but I just kind of wanted to, after Buffalo, now Texas, California, I just kind of want to make note for us as a school district, specifically in a predominantly Black community, that we are very vigilant with our students, our schools, our buildings, and being very, I can't think of my words right now, but just very on top of how we are protecting young people.
Ash, we're sorry. We're gonna address that in executive session.
Oh, are you talking about what I'm discussing?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I wanted to make this public about our, just in general.
Oh, sorry.
We
Sorry.
put
Go.
this
I'm sorry.
on the record that, thoughts for those families that are suffering from that.
Well, wouldn't you prefer to discuss it first before you just make a statement about
no,
it?
Eric, I feel confident with what I'm stating for public record for anyone who is listening. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I just want to make that point.
Please go on.
I was.
Hey, Eric, she's just trying to express her general sentiments.
My goodness, that was rude.
Well, I heard an
Ashley
expression.
has the floor. Ashley has the floor right now. Ashley has the floor right now. Please go ahead, Ashley.
Thank you, Ed. I just wanted to express the condolences that I feel as a school board member, as a mother, what has happened today. I think that is something worth putting on the public record, that as a board member, that's something on my heart and on my mind. And that is all that I wanted to state today. Thank you.
Thanks, Ashley.
No, I
Yeah,
would second
you
that,
got here a
sure.
little bit late, but
Well
we did
said.
have.
Excuse me, I've raised my hand.
Yes, I see that. I'm
He was
responding
responding to me.
finish what you were saying, Ed.
So actually, we had a moment of silence and we talked about the need to make sure that our buildings are secure and make sure that that's a feature that goes into the renovations at Kelly School. And then we decided that we would move it as a deeper discussion about security to an executive session.
Thank you. And that's why I stated in the beginning that I could have missed it because I do know I was late, but I wanted to give my personal feelings as well because I wasn't present. So I appreciate that, knowing that we stated that at the start of the meeting. So thank you all so much for that.
Yeah, no, thank you, Ashley.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
You're
Mr.
welcome.
Steadley. Mr. Steadley.
Yes, I would like to say that we've really had no discussion of security at this board meeting, and I don't know why there would be an expression of support in regards or any sort of expression of a position of the board at this point without having discussed it first. I don't really understand why we would just say that. Well, we think that we're doing a great job at security when we really haven't discussed that.
I didn't state that, Eric. And so
Well, excuse me, but I have the floor now.
my point in mentioning that, well, you interrupted me, so I will gladly interrupt you. My
Please.
point in mentioning that was stating that we have security. Those are things that we do have. And so I can't speak on that. I was expressing my personal opinions and feelings on that because of what happened today. I don't have to do it the way that you think that you would do it. I did it the way that I felt I needed to state it. And I have that right to do that as a board member.
Hey, is this really how we want this to go down? Do we really want to interact like this as a board? I'd prefer not. I mean, if we want to have these conversations, we can have them, but I think let's remain professional and have some grace for today.
Excuse me, but I think I have the floor, and I think that what was being displayed here earlier was a performance for the public. And so I want to make sure that the public understands that it was a performance. And I think that that's my right to express my opinion in this forum. And while it's interesting that we think we have security in our schools, I'm not sure that any one of us has been to the school to see what the security situation is.
Some of us have.
Yeah.
Some of us have.
Yes, we have.
Regularly. So I think we do know, and that's why we decided that this is an item that should be discussed further, and it should be done in an executive session per the solicitor's suggestion. So, okay. So did we get a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
We did.
I second.
We did not.
Motion.
So, okay, I'll second.
I'll just vote unanimous.
Yeah. Interesting, there are people objecting to performances at this meeting.
Honestly, I think there's more discussion that should be had. We'll save that.
Come on here and tell me that I'm doing something for performance when you have no idea how I feel after what has happened today. I personally take offense to that. There's nothing about this performance. So for you to project your personal opinion of what you think of what I stated, I'm offended, and so I'm expressing that to you. Like, how dare you?
Ashley, Eric is signed off.
I bet he is. I'll gladly tell him in person when I see him.
Muted, he can't hear us.
We need to close the meeting.
Go ahead and close the meeting, Eric.
The meeting was adjourned.
Thank you, Rick. Yeah, would you close it, please?
Ashley, I'm sorry.
Nobody can hear us at this point.